Hi, I'm Zach, the co-founder of Asbury Park Distilling here in Asbury Park, New Jersey. We are the first and only craft distillery here in Asbury Park. I'm proud to be producing really amazing, super high quality craft spirits from grain to glass right here in New Jersey. I'm a New Jersey resident, born and bred. Really enjoyed all the art, music, culture that Asbury Park has always had to offer. And in recent years, obviously, there's been a pretty tremendous resurgence here that we're really proud to be a part of. We think that adding a distillery to the already existing foray of amazing entrepreneurs, restaurants, breweries, etc., hotels, of course, is just a natural fit, and we're super happy to be a part of that community. So when we first opened up, we actually were exclusively producing gin. That was what we were passionate about. That is what our master distiller, Bill, is most proud of in terms of what he's produced thus far. We then quickly realized that there are a lot of folks that do not drink gin, so we began producing a vodka as well. And from there, we then took our gin and produced our barrel finished gin. You guys will notice a few medals here. We've been really fortunate to receive both silver and bronze, as well as silver yet again for the barrel finished gin and our traditional gin, as well as a silver medal from both San Francisco World Spirits Competition and American Distilling Institute for our vodka. So our gin starts off with 100% corn. We then infuse it with our proprietary blend of botanicals. And the difference essentially between a vodka and a gin is that it's just a flavored spirit versus a totally neutral spirit, which is what vodka is. So we infuse it, must use juniper. We also have another 7 botanicals that we're utilizing, including cardamom, coriander, borage, angelica root, sweet orange peel, lemon peel, fresh lemongrass. So we're going for a little bit more of a citrus forward style, not overly junipery. I think there are a lot of gins on the market that have a little bit too much of that juniper lead. We want it to be a little bit more citrus forward, if you will. Vodka, 100% corn based yet again. So if there are folks that have any sort of gluten intolerance, both our vodka and our gin are really great options for them. You know, the goal, the criteria essentially for being a vodka is that it's a neutral spirit that is odorless, flavorless, and colorless. So your goal here is to create as clean of a spirit as possible with well-integrated alcohol. Ours happens to be at 80 proof, 40% ABV, and we find it to be minimally hot, so you can sip our vodka at room temperature and not really have that cringe that a lot of people will get when they're sipping straight vodka. What we do here is we take a 2-year straight bourbon that is, again, spent 2 full years in a new American oak barrel. We'll then empty our barrel finished gin barrels up here and refill them with our 2-year-old straight bourbon. So those barrels have been saturated with our gin, thus having a little bit of that botanical influence. You'll then find that botanical influence in our bourbon in the finished product after about 4 months.
So this is our still. It's from Germany. It's made by a company called Carl. It's the only still like it in the entire world. It's custom made just for us. The still has 1 compartment here, which is like a traditional pot, so like they would use in Ireland or in Scotland. And then next to it, we have a Colin still, which is used in a lot of production facilities for vodka. Our gin and our vodka are corn-based, and then our bourbon uses corn, it uses rye and barley. We take all of those grains and they're hammer milled. They're lifted by an auger up into our mash tun. In the mash tun, we add a bunch of water and we basically boil down all of those grains. It breaks them down into fermentable sugars that yeast will eat. And then as soon as we've cooked all of those, we'll transfer the wort into a fermenter tank. We'll cool it down and add yeast. Now, yeast eats sugars and it creates ethanol, heat, and it creates CO2. We don't really use the heat or the CO2 that dissipates. We take that ethanol, what's called now the mash, we'll transfer it over to the still, and that's where we go through the distillation process, which is the separation of the alcohol from everything else. The alcohol will evaporate. It travels up through the lye arm and over into the condenser, where we condense it back down into alcohol.
Something that's interesting about our business is we are not like a traditional bar here in the state. We are required to serve only things that we manufacture in-house. So you won't be able to come in here and order a beer or order a glass of wine or order a Jack Daniels, for example. You can only order the spirits that we're manufacturing in-house. We take that a step further and we're pretty much making everything that goes into our beverage program, whether it be tonic, tinctures, even some of our garnishes are grown in-house. We freeze our own ice, which is always a funny joke that I like to tell people. We try our best to make sure that as many of our products that go into our cocktail menu are either made in-house or are sourced somewhere locally. Making whiskey is not necessarily a fast process, but it's a rewarding process.